Hi everyone, hope you're doing well today. I've got one of those previews for this week coming up. It's going to be entering Q2 earning season and it's getting busy. So today I'm going to point out a few things that I'm going to be looking at and also a few things that you may want to consider looking at when some of these companies report earnings. Now, first of all, if you are on the Patreon, I've just dropped a review on Audio Boom's earnings from last week. I actually thought they were pretty solid updates, to be fair. So if you're on the Patreon, do go check that out. And if you do want to see some exclusive content, then join the Patreon, links in the description, or you can pay £3 just to see that video by itself. But looking at the earnings season, yeah, we are well underway here. If you look at the UK front, it's a pretty busy time. And if you want to have a look at some of the US earnings that are coming up this week, it's a very busy week. I'm sure you've got at least one company reporting earnings. So today I'm going to point out a few things that I'll be looking at. So I'm going to start with the UK side. So if you are interested in UK stocks, here you go. If you are just here for the US stocks, then jump a little bit later on in the video. With the UK stocks, we've already had Money Supermarket report today. The stock is actually down a little bit at the moment, down about 7%. I've got to say, I thought the update was okay. Maybe the market is getting concerned on the slowing growth, but I don't know what you would really expect at the moment. We know that this environment hasn't been very good for Money Supermarket, a lot of headwinds, and hopefully a few of those start coming a bit more tailwinds when we start seeing the energy market returning a bit more, when we start seeing a few more interest rate cuts and a stronger economy. That's probably one of the big things that has kind of shocked a few people is, how much Labour would go and crash the economy in the last few months, and obviously that has happened, and that's probably something that's obviously taken a bit of a beating onto Money Supermarket. But on the long term, I still think it's a very solid company. Incredible profit margins, and even at these numbers at the moment, yeah, growth's not amazing, but they're still growing. EPS is still up 4% compared to revenue growth of 1%. Net debt once again got reduced significantly. Only a slight increase in the dividend, but while you wait for things to get better for Money Supermarket, at the end of the day, you get to sit there and you collect a 6% dividend yield, which will keep you nice and warm while you're waiting. And at the end of the day, it's, we'll see if they do need to improve a little bit to get to the full year guide of where they are in 2025. But if they do get anywhere close to it, the company's going to be realistically 12 times forward earnings. I'm realistically looking at 2026 numbers now because we're getting quite close to 2026. And 2026 numbers would be about 11 times earnings. And that's about fair for a company that is, at the moment having a few problems. You still get that 6% dividend yield at the moment, and then if things do even get slightly better, which I'm sure they will get better in the future, paying up that sort of valuation for Money Group, in my opinion, is an okay valuation, really. So yeah, considering that it's a tough time for them, the results were okay. When you look at the valuation, I thought the results were okay, and you get a nice dividend. So I'm quite surprised to see Money Supermarket down today. Definitely nothing to get the stock excited. I wouldn't expect a jump today, but I wouldn't expect a significant drop today either. We've got Evoke reporting. A few people have been on the Discord asking me to take a look at this one, funny enough. Used to be 888 Holdings before it renamed. They've had a tough time, really. You can see here the stock peaked around about £4.20 and it's down about 85% since that time frame. I can't remember, they did have some issues, didn't they, with the financials going on. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think they overpaid for it. Was it William Hill they overpaid for massively as well? So yeah, a lot of people on Discord have actually been asking me to have a look into that one at some point on the stock request. So we'll see what happens there. The Works are reporting. I tell you what, the Works have upped the game, haven't they? I was in town the other day and I went past the Works and I was like, what? These look quite fancy nowadays. I think that's been an absolute stellar performance of the stock this year. HVivo, that one. Whew, you see the profit warning last time these guys reported? Wow, look at that. It was down, nearly 50% on the profit warning. Did have a bit of a recovery, as you can see here. I know a few guys on Discord played it as a bit of a quick turnaround play, and then since then the stock has dropped a bit more since. So we'll see where they are currently at. It's an industry that for me I've never really wanted to get involved in, but I know a few people are interested in it. Mighty Group, they are reporting as well. I know Crystal Ball's on the Discord. I'm just giving a lot of shout outs to the Discord today at the moment. I know he was a big fan of this one. Told me loads of times to take a look at it, and I never did. And it's been a very good performer. I think he was pointing it out when it was like 13 times earnings or something. So I should have been a bit more quicker on that one. Compass Group, Me Group. I think Matt is a big fan on the Discord of this one. He's owned that one for a while. That's a good company. Same again, being a very good performer. Maybe should have bought this one a little bit quicker. But yeah, I wouldn't be tempted to, great company, but I wouldn't be tempted to buy it at this valuation. I think I would have to have it a little bit lower. So we'll see what happens there. We've got a couple of companies reporting on the Wednesday. Weatherspoon's reporting on the Wednesday. Thursday's a pretty big day. ITV, I know a few people are liking that one as a turnaround play. AJ Bell, 3i Group, Vodafone. I know a lot of you guys always ask me for my opinions on Vodafone as a turnaround play. Lloyds Bank, Howdens, Wizz Air, they've been hit at the moment, haven't they? Airtel Africa, one I own, that's actually been a very good performer in the last year, to be fair. That's up 58% in the last year. Year to date, it's up 50%, 58% as well. So yeah, I still own my Airtel Africa shares. Been trimming a little bit at the moment. Been locking in, I think, just around about 100% returns on Airtel Africa. I remember, a lot of people gave up on this stock during this time frame when the share price went stagnant. A lot of people going, oh, it's finished. These FX rates are a massive problem. Realistically, at some point they were going to stabilise. We've kind of seen that happen now, and then as soon as that's happened, the share price has gone absolutely ballistic. So yeah, that's done very well. I'm a little bit in between what I do with Airtel Africa going forward. I still like to hold some shares because I do feel like the data growth over there is a pretty significant opportunity. I still think the money payment side of it is a very significant opportunity. But then you got to weigh up the valuation it's at, because I do think it's at a bit of a richer valuation now. And also, will the FX impacts come back? Historically, the argument would be yes, they would come back at some point. So do you chop and run, and then if the opportunity ever comes back in to get into it, you go buy it? I don't really know. So all I've been doing at the moment is locking a little bit of profit off the table. But I think the decision is kind of coming at some point, like what I do with the rest of the position going forward, or what's the aim of the position long term. But anyway, let's not think about that right now. Let's think what a performer this has been in the last year when a lot of people gave up on it. We'll focus on that part to start with. Rightmove, that's an interesting one, to be fair. I won't mind owning Rightmove at the right valuation. Jupiter as well. And then we move across to the big boys. We move to the US earnings. I can't believe Ryanair's coming up on this one here. Domino's reporting. I think they're going through a tough time at the moment, to be fair. Domino's, I didn't get the stock chart up for that one, but I believe it's been a hard time for them. Coca-Cola report on the morning as well. D.R. Horton, GM, General Motors are reporting as well. Not too much on the Monday. Tuesday, we've got Enphase. I mean, I was going to upload the financials there, but we'll see what happens. I mean, that could go anywhere, that. I mean, with the amount of things that have gone on with Enphase in that quarter, you've had the tariff situation happen, you've had all the Inflation Reduction Act credits start getting removed from them. I mean, you'd think it would be a negative one, wouldn't you, ultimately? It's going to move. Like, that is going to be one of the most volatile ones. It will move, I would say, anywhere between 10 to 20%. I would probably assume that it would be a negative quarter, considering how many negative things have happened for it in the last few months. But hey, sometimes we see it before when everybody expects it to go in one certain direction. How many times does it go in the other direction? So we'll see what will happen with Enphase. On Wednesday, we've got Tesla reporting earnings. I tell you what, I mean, Tesla is currently, it's in there 52-week highs, I guess, really. It's not a million miles away from 52-week highs. Obviously not near all-time highs at the moment, but it's still hanging on there. And I can't believe it, because I was just looking at the forecast for Tesla, and they're expecting the EPS to go down by over 10%. Revenue growth is expected to go down by 10%. And I was thinking, how is this holding up so well? Like, if you go to where Tesla was forecast to be at the start of the year, so right now for the current year, they're expected no growth for this current financial year. At the start of this year, we're expecting 16% revenue growth. So how has a company gone from 16% revenue growth, and we're only halfway through the year, and they're now down at negative 0.7% revenue growth, and yet the share price is like only down 13% this year? I don't know. And you look at the EPS, and the EPS was expected to go from $2.49 to $3.26. And now the current EPS is expected to go from $1.87 to $2.83. So there's been a 20% downgrade in the EPS, and yet this company is still trading at, what's the forward P of Tesla? 169 times forward earnings. I mean, that's absolutely nuts, isn't it? I mean, you know, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. I know there's still a few Tesla bulls here, which unfortunately, if you've been a Tesla bull for the last few years, I mean, since 2021, the stock's done absolutely nothing. But with these numbers, you'd expect, in my opinion, expect the stock to be down. But I guess they'll be saying like, oh, well, obviously financials don't matter if it's holding on to this valuation. Like it's all about the robo taxes and all this kind of other things that they've got going on. And I like, that's a bet. Like that's a guess. Like there's no proof that's going to be successful. Like that's the most risky 1 million bet, the most risky 1 billion red or black at the casino I've ever seen in my life. Like that's crazy. To put a 1 billion valuation on something that might happen is crazy. And I think the self-driving probably will be successful, but paying a 1 billion, not 1 billion, a 1 trillion valuation for it is so bonkers to me. Like you're already pricing in that it's going to be megally successful for that sort of rate. And people say like, oh, it's not a car company, but one of the last bets was like this energy business, and this energy business being like a successful thing for them, and this charging network being a successful thing for them, and yet they're nowhere near ramped up to scale at the moment, and that probably should have been what people were saying 3 or 4 years ago. You would expect it to be ramped up right now, and it's not. So just because you think it's going to happen doesn't always happen, and paying a trillion valuation for it is absolutely bonkers to me. And I've had a few back and forths with Tesla shareholders over the years on the stock, and yeah, I'm a big fan of Tesla. I do like Tesla, and I think a few people think I'm negative on it. I just don't justify paying $1 trillion valuation for it. That's the issue. And I've owned the company before. I've owned it 3 times. I've made good money over it. When you combine all my gains from Tesla, I'm up over 1,000% on Tesla. So I've got nothing to hold against it because it's made me good money. But I've been the last few years, I said like this is crazy, and I remember in 2022 people said I was an idiot for saying that. 2023, 2024, 2025. I remember one day someone like cancelled the Patreon because I did a negative video on it, and I was like, well, you can't just cancel something because someone has a different opinion to you. Like it's absolutely bonkers. But look who's been right. I've been last few years being negative on Tesla. It's been right because the share price has done nothing, and yet the S&P is up how much in that time? So yeah, it is what it is. Move on to the next one. Google. Google. The numbers for Google. I mean, we'll see what happens. Sometimes that moves up, sometimes it moves down, but ultimately, they're expected to do 10% revenue growth. EPS is actually expected to go up faster than that, which is beautiful if that does happen. And realistically, you're paying Google, one of the best companies in the world, at 19 times forward earnings. What's the S&P at right now? 29 times forward earnings. You should not be picking one of the best companies in the world up at like 30-40% cheaper than the current market. Absolutely nuts. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I would like to buy more Google. I've said to you before though, like for me, I like buying Google at like 16, 17 forward times earnings. I know it's really picky because I did say it was quite crazy undervalued just a second ago, but I like to get it really, really undervalued, and it does happen. We've seen it happen before where Google does get to that stupidly undervalued. I mean, we had it like literally 2-3 months ago. We had it literally 9-10 months ago. So it does happen, and we'll see what happens. I mean, ultimately, like the really like early Christmas present would be if Google reports really strong earnings and it drops like 10%. If that happens, that's always like great. I'm gonna go buy. So that would be my ideal situation. We'll see what exactly happens and if it does happen. After that, ServiceNow, that's an interesting one. AAA, IBM are reporting. United Rentals on the Thursday. Intel are reporting. Decker's reporting. Nothing too major for me there. And then on the Friday, we've got a couple of other companies reporting, but nothing too major for me. So yeah, a lot of earnings that are going to happen this week. I'm sure you own one that is going to report earnings. I'm sure there's going to be some videos that I make on some earnings, whether that be UK stocks and if there's any significant drops out there with some of these UK stocks. I don't know if you want to see a full video on Money Supermarket, let me know. And then on the later earnings that do happen, I'm sure there'll probably be a video at some point on maybe Enphase's earnings. I might do a video on Google's earnings. Tesla, I don't tend to do that much. I used to do them quite often, but I don't tend to do Tesla's earnings reviews right now because there's so many content creators that cover that now. So I don't really cover it because it's not really a good one for the views, but we'll see what happens. If there's something really major in there, maybe I'll cover it. We'll see. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, best of luck for the week ahead, guys. I hope the video was helpful, and I'll see you tomorrow.